My pal Lee might be remembered in 500 years, just as Martin Luther is remembered from 500 years ago. Except the list Lee made had 10 segments instead of 95. But Lee made the list lavish by issuing it hebdomadally. Once a week, radio disc jockeys and record industry insiders and hobbyists would all convene at Lee's Monroe Music to receive the mimetic list that influenced radio playlists and album track lists. Some so-called friends called Lee's lists out, and they put them down, but Lee Canady had clout. So you want to talk about this world-famous top 10 list? You know, some people might think the top 10 list started with a man named David Letterman, but all the way back in, 1959 you were already doing that, the top 10 list of...
Yeah, I did it, we did it in 59 or 60, like in that area, you know, when we opened up, because we hadn't been in the store that long anyway, because Miss Keywell had a store, government employee store, where she said had wasn't that like shelving paper and little thing cushion you put needles in, stuff like that. You know, you sew with, you know.
Yeah.
And when you move it in the store, I'm trying to figure out how to get business, because I knew people came in the store, they didn't know what to buy, they didn't know what they wanted, they didn't know what was out in the first place because it wasn't on the radio.
Yeah.
And I thought I would make a top 10 list. So I was on to roll the shelving paper out and wrote number 1 up to 10.
Yeah.
Because they could play 10 records. So it's my top 10 that what I was selling. So while I was on the ladder putting it up high,
Yeah.
a friend of mine, customer, walked in the store, and we always debate on everything anyway. Whatever I like, he didn't like it.
He was a contrarian to you, a born adversary.
Yeah, but anyway, most people do it anyway. They always have a different opinion. So I put top 10, and he came in the store, and I was on the ladder. He said, "What make you think that's number 1?" First he asked me what's number 1. I told him, "Well, what make you think it's number 1?" I said, "Because I said so," and we laughed it all, you know. But, you know, I knew that whatever I put up, that people didn't know anyway, because I'm the one who's making it up.
They don't know. You know, it's kind of like today with the internet, people complain. There's a word that's called algorithm, which basically means the decision-making that goes into picking what you see on the internet. And your algorithm, you know, they famously, companies today, they hide the algorithm. Like you hear about in the current year, 2022, Anno Domini, in the year of our Lord, Elon Musk is buying Twitter, sort of like the platform du jour, and he is talking about releasing the algorithm, basically saying why this person is popular and that person's not, because right now they don't say that. And just like with you had a hidden algorithm. So all these decades later, can you reveal to the folks at home what was the way that you determined what was the top 10 at your store?
Well, it determined a lot of things, because one thing, I wanted to sell it. Maybe I had more of this than I had another one.
Yeah.
All kind of things could make you want to do that, you know? And so I was trying to sell records. So the people didn't know what's number 1.
Oh, so it's not just what sold well, it's what you needed to sell.
Well, I wanted to make money. I wanted to multiply whatever I got.
So it's not just... I was always under the impression it was a mix of both what sold the best and what you thought sounded the best, but it's also...
But you don't know. He could tell you anything. You know, a lady next door to me, they had a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
And she had a
Coney? Was it a Coney?
They sold everything in that thing.
Okay.
And so, but the next day they had something called goulash.
Yeah. Oh, yep.
And I asked her what was the goulash. She didn't think she had left over from the day before.
Yeah.
So I never go in a restaurant and say, "What you got special?"
There's a reason it's cheap, because it's
cheap. You don't think that way.
Yeah.
What you got good?
There you go, quality.
Well, they ask you what you got good. What do you want to sell?
So
I'm saying that what you say is good, that's good. To them, they don't know anyway.
So you're saying the top 10 list had a few records that you would say were on special?
No.
No, all of them were good.
It,
All of them were good records then.
everything is good, man, because the person who put his
Especially
money
back
in,
then, 20th century
well,
music.
well, when you put your money into an item, don't you think it's good?
Yeah, they invested a lot more in.
Well, I'm
artists back
saying
then.
that everybody had a record. I thought it was something good because he recorded it.
Yeah.
What you doing to think is good? You want me to record me? You didn't think it was good.
It speaks for itself.
That's all
yeah.
I'm saying. But see, it's a subconscious mind, people mind thinking. You know, going to restaurant. What you got good? I got goulash.
Yeah.
Because they want to sell it.
Let me ask you this: Jet Magazine had a top 10 list of albums
Yeah.
after you.
Well, they came out with it too, but I don't just remember just when it was. But they came out with
Concurrently, or maybe a
yeah,
little
like
after.
Black Who's on television. They come out with next month. I think the Jet was released once a month at that time.
You were once a week.
Was
Right?
it once a week?
No, I'm saying you put your list out once a week. They put their list out once a month. It sounds like you're saying.
Well, it depends.
Oh, they wouldn't even put it out once a month, or
No,
you
I'm
wouldn't
saying,
put it out once a week.
All depends. When I put it out, I had no special date really.
Oh,
It's just that you know, hey, I changed it around.
Yeah.
What's number one this week? You're not gonna stay number one forever. It might stay up there 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever I decide, and I put another number one up there.
Now, is it true? People, disc jockeys would come and you print out. How would you handwrite the list, or would you print
No,
it?
they call.
They would call.
Someone
okay.
called every Monday. All the station.
So they wouldn't come in person. They'd call.
No,
your
they call
store.
on the phone. Want to
Okay.
know my top 10. And I have an employee, one of the girls, take the telephone
Yeah.
message. She go up there and she got a piece of paper with everything on it, which I've already written out. This is my top 10. When they call, this is what you report.
Was it gospel? Like, could you put a silly song on there and you'd hear it on the radio that afternoon? Like, they really trusted your sense of what was hitting
Not
you?
necessarily that afternoon, but you see the disc jockey, he wanted to be the hippest disc jockey on the planet in this area, right?
Yeah.
I want to have what's hot.
Go to the
That's
source.
common sense.
Yeah, and you're the
People
seller.
buying records on Saturday night to go to the party. They want to go out and get the latest record, the latest dance, right?
Yeah.
So here it is.
Yeah.
It don't have to be that per se.
Now,
But they give them something to buy, and everything I pick, I don't just put garbage on there.
it wasn't just people on the radio. It was also people in the industry. The Temptations. It was just my imagination.
Well, when the Temptation come out with a record, that's somebody at Motown
Yeah.
in that department. That's their job. Call the station, call the people, get this out. They have the protocol they have to do. You understand what I'm saying? That's his job. To see that Lee Monroe got a copy of this record. When the record is released, make sure you send this here. It's a lot of things.
But my point is, your sense of what worked made them reprint the album and make the B-side and A-side. It was just my imagination was a
But
B-side.
Temptation with the
That's
B-side,
right.
yeah.
Now I'm saying,
But I kept reporting because we kept selling that, and then we tell source this is what's selling the record.
So
Turn
that's-
it over, and the station sometime will listen to what I say, or whoever tell them. Maybe it's an idea, and they go with it, and they turn it, maybe start playing the other side, and find out the B-side sold more than the A-side.
and see, it's because of you that they
Well, yeah,
reprinted that album.
We did a lot of records like that.
See, that's what I'm saying. So now, was that also a result of your weekly list, or was that more to do with what was selling or what was playing well?
Well, selling to the
It all
part of both.
factored in,
Right,
yeah.
right, all factored in. Just like Tobacco Road, I told you how that happened. That was the B-side,
Yeah,
and when CKLW
with Lou
called,
Rawls.
right,
Yeah,
when she called every money for the shot, my list. So I told her I had always made it space to have something up and coming, so I could get lists more than first just top 10. But hey, I got 3 up and coming.
yeah.
Better watch out for. And so Lou Rawls was one of them. I told him about Lou Rawls.
Man.
Tobacco Road. She said, I never heard it. I said, flipped over. And the rest is history. She turned it over. But Lou Rawls didn't want that because when he was at my house, we played it for me. It was a dub at the time. He came in for the movie, Blue for 4-string guitar. That was the A-side, Blue for 4-string guitar, because that was the sound of the movie.
Yeah.
Soundtrack.
Yeah.
And Fred Wilkerson played in the movie starring.
Hmm.
But Lou Rawls, he wanted me to hear what he had recorded.
Yeah.
And Tobacco Road was one of them.
So you and him were already friends at that point?
Yeah, we became friends when they recorded Stormy Monday Blues, Les McCann and Lou Rawls. And they did it in Chicago that night. And when we got to the store that morning, Lou Rawls and Les McCann were walking down the street. It was real cold. I think it might have been snowing, but it was real cold.
Man.
And here, Lou Rawls, he had on a light coat, like a suit jacket, you know. And he talked about Chicago, how cold it was in Chicago and stuff like that, you know. And we became friends. And Lou Rawls, Les McCann said, these people can break this record, if anybody can. They took the red eye out of Chicago. They were at the store that next morning when I got to work. They was walking down the street. And so by being friends with Les McCann, every time when Les McCann got a job here, because he came in town to promote, and to promote records.
Yeah.
And he got some gigs while he was here. And he was in the store every day while he was here. At that time, people come in, they stay like 10 days. But now they come in and leave the same night, you know, because it's too big.
We were talking about that before. That's on a micro level what is also an issue on a macro level in the sense of back in your era, not to call you old, but you know,
I am.
I don't like saying that. Back in an earlier time, a better time, even though do not look upon the former days, for this is evil. You know, they're just as bad as today. You know, we're all always just as capable of being bad, and probably fulfilling it. Sadly, back in your day, record labels would invest in an artist for years, for many albums, let them mature. And I think that made for better music, and I think that's on a larger level, like a longer scale of time. On a shorter scale, the same thing, like coming into a city, playing for a few days. Maybe you don't play all 10 days, maybe we play 3 of the 10 or, you know, 4, whatever. But you sort of build up a momentum in that city, you know.
Yeah. See, when they close up at 2 o'clock at night and they get home 3 or 4 or whatever, when they get up for breakfast, they live downtown in a hotel, like Short Cadillac Hotel. That was close to me anyway.
Yeah.
Most of them did. You know, a lot of time they did. I put it that way.
It was a couple blocks away from your store.
Right.
Yeah.
And Les McCann, he always hung in the store. And Paul Humphrey would play drum. We was like family, you know. And I would take him places. Les McCann. He had a sister live on Lumpkin.
Yeah.
And we went over there a couple of times, you know. But anyway, that's how we became friends, like that, you know.
Let me restart the camera. That was my little timer. I'm gonna be right back.